Not really. We've just started the segmentation, so we're kind of figuring out how that works. And I'm almost done with the first one. Kind of a learning curve, but we're getting there.
Yeah, so the whole idea is, we can't rely on machine to tell us which one's tumor.
Yeah.
It has to learn from us, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's currently loading. I was just trying to upload my first finished one, and the time keeps going up. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're figuring it out.
All right, keep going. Hopefully you'll learn, what's tumor, what's not tumor, and
Yep.
yeah.
Definitely a good learning for CT scans. So
Good. Dr. Jian, can you go over yours first? We only have less than an hour today, so let's be quick in going over the questions.
And then I'll tell you without document. Regarding original article, because since it was rejected, I'm revising it with the original case series, including third patients, as well as the UNOS data, and I will exclude the international registry. And I will make it again, because the last journal was clinical transplantation, the impact factor was less than 3. So other rest of journals might be less than 3. So I wonder, do you keep doing that, following that orders? Because there.
Yeah, because I'm fairly new to the field. I think you can go whatever is the next tier. And yeah, maybe you can but ask Dr. Ankit if you have a question. Is this an okay journal, or yeah?
Okay, I will. And the review article is still in editor. I sent an email, and maybe I can get the results soon because it's a revision. And regarding another original article, it is still in under review, so I'm waiting the result. And the next project is RadioMix. Now I'm looking for the patients treated by Joy Patel, and I think I added 5 more patients only with 2 hours. So I think we can do it. We can make it maximum at least 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in RadioMix project now, Madeline started the segmentation. So Maddie and Maria and Peter will join to this segmentation work, and we will send it to Yuri, and as soon as I get the result, I will write an article. I hope I can finish before my leaving. And next is liquid biopsy. All the authors' sign is prepared except Wrestler. So could you send the message? I sent an email, but I think she was so busy she couldn't check that email. So if I can get her signature, I can submit today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she should be in. So I'll send you her cell phone number. That's
okay. That's great. Okay, I will send it. And another project is ctDNA. I'm looking for the Excel file, but there are so many things that I can't understand. So I think the best way is print out, and I will ask you how to interpret this this unfamiliar data for me. So
Oh, you know what? On the second thought, I think I'm not sure what she formatted. I'm thinking maybe we can do without her because her assignment was to submit until we publish it.
Okay.
So why not bother? Because I don't think she added much in terms of the content.
Okay.
I think we can do without it. Not lose time. I think it's just an extra effort.
Okay, then I will submit today without her signature. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That's all I have.
So liquid biopsy,
Mhm.
any progress made understanding the columns and do you need anything more?
Liquid biopsy, you mean ctDNA for breast cancer cohort?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to match each result according to the patient.
Mhm.
There are many things that I can't understand. So yeah, I need some time, and I will ask you.
Yeah. Some things maybe we can discuss and figure out and
Mhm.
kind of finalize our questions.
Okay.
But I think before ASCO, we want to have our own version of understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Got
that. And it's important to do keep doing the literature review. You know, in
Okay.
neoadjuvant space, how was it, used? Any similar articles? I think our best bet is to say this is the first of its kind in this space. And I think it does show some promise in this area. So yeah. Okay. So keep us updated on next lab meeting. You can show us what the literature shows and some preliminary graphs of our own data.
Okay.
That will be, pre-ASCO, our own analysis of
Yeah.
interpretation and also review of the literature in the similar anything that has been done in a similar context.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haesung.
Okay, quick updates. Okay, so wait, what's this? I'm sorry. The Tempest. So Calvin
Yeah.
gave me a call yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and we decided to proceed with the training thing. The main thing is that like no one really knows how to use the program R. Not even like not many people in this company, except for maybe one person. I think his name was Nathan. Except for him, no one can use R, and that's why he was very interested in bringing us and trying to get Nathan to train us how to use R and how to use that to extract and clean the data. Apparently the data is super messy, and I can kind of imagine because I've also seen the EUNIS data. So I'm kind of scared, but yeah, let's make that happen. And then
So again, who is Nathan?
he's the Tempest guy. He's a NG
NGS?
something. No. He like worked in another company and was in charge of like extracting and cleaning data, but it was a much smaller scale, and the Tempest data is like massive. So he's also struggling apparently.
But he knows how to do R, right?
Yeah. He doesn't describe it as like him being so proficient, but I think he's good enough to extract the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess
Another
R is to extract data, and then in the data format, you can use whatever, Stata or SPSS, anything you want to analyze the data.
yeah.
But I guess my point is for Dr. Jian and you to go and experience what the Tempest culture is like, what it means to work, collaborate with the company people, you know, I was going to campus every week when Dr. Jonghan Park was here.
Mm,
And we had meetings, we set up collaboration, all that was happening. And that's why we were able to get all like those data through cloud and work with them closely. So we'll feel like a company in maybe in like Silicon Valley or the Bay Area, very, very interesting workplace. So
yeah.
get to know them, their people, the more you spend time with them, you understand. I think the less time you'll actually spend going back and forth just to be there and understand. They probably don't know what they're doing either. So
Exactly, that's what they were saying. So even if they give us the data, it's not going to be what we want. So there's going to be at least like 6 or 10 or more, like emails back and forth, and that itself is going to take at least 6 months. So he says like if we want the data ASAP, then we should be there.
Yeah,
And he said he'll give us the laptops or whatever necessary, and we don't necessarily have to be like physically present at the office.
right. Once it's connected, then
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lesson to be learned here. Like if you want things to be done, go and meet people, be there and troubleshoot, and never trust. If they say 1 month, 2 months, do not
Yeah.
take that face value.
Yeah.
They'll come back with an email 3 months later. It will take another
Yeah.
6 months, and by
Yeah.
that time, you'll be gone, Haesung.
Yeah, and I also realized like I need to be the one looking at the raw data if I'm going to be leading this project. Because if someone else does it, like I realize I can't just like, I need to be able to understand how the raw data looks like. Because you can miss many things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Labeling the data right way, coding it right way. How do you
Yeah.
deal with the blank spots? It all makes huge difference.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you
Yeah.
understand that. So
Yeah.
the data stewardship. And then at the end of the day, if you can't trust your data, like, oh, I actually
Yeah.
don't know how this was handed to me and I can't
Yeah.
trust the data. You cannot build upon whatever you produced from that project. So it has to be the whoever owns the project, whoever leads the project has to know from the beginning till the end. And it doesn't make any sense if you don't know it, you cannot be in charge of the project. You just have to well, I'm a helper, I don't know anything, I'll just help this portion, I'll come out. But if you own it, you have to understand the whole field, the ins and outs of nuts and bolts of the project. But I'm glad that you guys are meeting. Did you decide on the date or?
Yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow from 11:30 to 12.
Okay. So you guys both can, can walk, but you can take Uber. It's pretty close. And I can give you guys the background. The founder of Campus, the founder of what is that called? Groupon. You guys know Groupon?
Are you serious?
Groupon.
That's so cool.
So he founded like 5
Wow.
more companies. So he's a true entrepreneur, Chicago-based, and he had no biology background. But when his wife got breast cancer, he studied so much about oncology that he recruited the best genomic experts and everyone and founded a company where they can decipher DNA of his wife's cancer. And that's how he started his company. And he believed in the future of data. He calls Campus not a sequencing company, but a data company. They sell data to pharmaceutical companies. And that's why they're so successful right now. So anyway, and then I was having, meetings with the founder, the CEO, when it was founded. So yeah, definitely you're working with the best in class. And this company recruited so many of my own people, my nurse practitioner, my nurse, my pathology fellow, and they all work at Tempus. So I have so many friends working in Tempus. Even Dr. William Bay's mentor in UIC works at Tempus as a dual appointment. Yeah, and he did his MD, PhD, and oncology fellowship at Stanford. So they are really recruiting good people there. So definitely good to know. But again, even companies like Tempus, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to navigate all the regulations and stuff. So we'll just have to work very closely with them, and leverage the big database that they have. Okay.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the outcome isn't measured by RECIST. It's just like whether they change the medication or not. Stuff
Exactly.
like that. It's like you got to know what to extract. Not just
Exactly.
blindly extract
Exactly.
stuff.
That's, I mean, so that is an inherent bias or the limitation, but all NM, like under NM, they do collect Warrenville, Lake Forest, all these database. If one way to get around it is everything NM, we have access to the chart. And all the NM family order at Tempus.
Mm.
So if that becomes several hundreds, we can have access to the accurate clinical outcome. So just keep that in mind as you mine data set. Okay.
Yeah, another small update is that I looked at the dual PD-1, PD-L1 expression on T cells and that as like a biomarker for response.
Yes.
I did not find anything, but there was this just like Nature paper that used a mouse model on like pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma, and it just talked about how like the PD-L1 expression on T cells that has not been extensively studied, but that also has like a tolerogenic effect. Like similar to PD-1, expression in its interaction with the ligand.
Do you have the paper? Do you
I
want to
do.
share the screen?
Oh. PD-L1 engagement on T cells promotes self-tolerance and suppression of neighboring macrophages and effector T cells in cancer. And this is pancreatic ductal cancer specifically.
Nature Immunology. Okay. So what does that mean on the T cells? If there's a PD-L1 expression, and then if that's well, and what?
It prevents like macrophages and effector T cells from attacking the tumor cells.
So it's immune suppression then, right?
Yeah. So I guess they were saying how like you can maybe target the ligand, prevent it from affecting the nearby macrophages and effector cells, so that they can effectively kill the tumor cells. But that's just a speculation that they said. It was just a mouse model.
I see. But at least this is a preclinical model that describes the PD-L1. So yeah, I like this paper. Great that you found it. So the idea is PD-L1 expression on the tumor cell, right?
Oh, on the T cells.
No. I'm saying the conventional idea.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the conventional idea is that we check for lung cancer PD-L1 expression on the tumor cell, and that is to the role of that is to evade immune evasion of the cancer cells, right? But if you block that immune evasion channel, then the T cells will be able to do its job, right? But this is talking about the PD-L1 on T cells, not tumor cells. Right. But this PD-L1 on T cells promotes tolerance or immune suppression. But by blocking this PD-L1, then you are also empowering T cells to do its job. Yeah. So I like this. I think you can cite this for the thyroid cancer paper. So what I guess because they looked at TILs or CTLs that were PD-1 positive or PD-L1 positive. We are giving Nivo and Ipi, and then the Nivo is supposed to be the PD-1 inhibitor. And I guess this is PD-L1, but the presence of PD-L1 positivity means that, well, I guess not through the Nivo directly, but these are the cells. Well, I guess this does not have any direct impact, but you know, PD-L1 positive T cell versus negative T cell. What is the core difference? And same thing, PD-1 positive T cell versus PD-1 negative T cell. What is the fundamental difference there? But anyway, blocking. I think this is indirect evidence that the blocking the PD-1 and PD-L1 pathway at the T cell level can help invigorate T cells. So that is why not just all TILs, because it didn't have any predictive power, but it's only the PD-L1 and PD-1 positive TILs that had predictive power in DART trial in thyroid cohort. So this is indirect evidence for sure, but keep on looking for PD-1 positive T cells as well. But I guess the fact that you did not find any dual positive T cell paper means something, that this is a whole new area of research, and worth looking into what that really means. And if another group finds similar evidence, then in thyroid cancer, people will stain for PD-1 PD-L1 expressing T cells, and if they're present, want to give Nivo/Ipi. So this is how we make discoveries and make new trials and new regimens.
Yeah, I guess something I'm still trying to find out is, like, if the T cells express PD-L1, how is this, which PD-1 is it going to engage with? Like, is PD-1 going to be expressed on tumor cells as well, or is it just the ligation between the PD-1 and PD-L1 on the T cells?
I didn't get the question. What is?
Oh, I'll just do further searching and see if I find out something more. Since we don't have much time anyway. Yeah, that's that. And then this is the one that I'm working with Dr. Nam on the papillary thyroid cancer and the AI pathomics. He created the new graphs correlating between the IP classification, the immune phenotype classification with the risk of recurrence.
Wait. So inflamed score excluded, well, subtype. And what is this low intermediate? It's okay.
It's the risk of recurrence according to the guideline.
Oh, risk of recurrence. Okay.
Yeah, and the only excluded showed like meaningful difference, and we're speculating that it's probably because the excluded type shows the most amount of like the greatest proportion of lymph node metastasis, and these are also stratified by like how much lymph node is involved.
So I guess statistically, there's not much difference.
Right, and so that's why we're going to just put it in supplementary, but I kind of just
the reviewers
doesn't catch too much attention.
Yeah, we show, but the conclusion is, even for excluded, because there's no linear, I don't think there's any linear relationship here. So yeah, even for excluded, I don't think we need to mention that it was significant.
Okay, because typically it would be like that, right?
So I don't think, I think we should just say there were no statistical significance.
Okay. We did the similar thing with like the inflamed score Also kind of weird, the intermediate showing the greatest amount of recurrence. Greatest risk of recurrence. But okay, yeah, we did, rewrite the comments, but I did, try to follow your comments from last lab meeting. So I guess I won't show it to you again. Or would you be okay with just submitting these answers to the reviewers' comments? My question is like, should I don't think you'll have time to read this, so should I just submit the answers? It's pretty similar to what you suggested last week.
Okay, so. Can you increase the font a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
It's about the novelty of the study.
So, I guess some of the argument, are you able to incorporate that into your methods or discussion? Or is it just for the rebuttal letter?
We did mention a bit on the methods, but it would be worth mentioning that, in our probably discussion section.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile mentioning, some of it in actual, so
Yeah.
if you do that, what I would say is the below sentences have been added in our method section, page number, and then I write that sentence again, copy paste what we actually added, because that will
Okay.
make the paper stronger.
Yeah.
Okay.
The visible correlation with metastasis and recurrence. I guess this will take this part out.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we attribute to the elevated rate of N1. So is that how did you make that conclusion? N1 and intermediate risk?
Because the risk of recurrence is stratified by how much lymph node is involved, how much it has spread.
Oh, at the time of diagnosis.
Yeah.
I'm just rethinking whether. Well, I guess compared to inflamed, excluded had higher rate, right? Overall.
Yeah.
Can you show me the graph one more time?
Right.
So although not statistically significant, well, I guess inflamed had 0 high, excluded had some high, excluded had higher intermediate, and maybe a little bit higher low. But I guess that's similar. If you say that, so compared to inflamed, excluded indeed had higher, I guess worse risk. So yeah, I think you can make that distinction. What about compared to the desert? Can you go back? So desert, I guess the low risk, the intermediates is similar. I think high is a little bit higher than excluded. So I guess well, the low is, there's a lot of lows too. So I guess desert, yeah, so no comments, don't compare to desert. It's all about proportion. This is the actual absolute numbers, but because desert has the highest number of lows, it's hard to compare. So I would just, yeah, I'll just leave that compared to inflamed, excluded seem to be, yeah, just leave that, it's fine.
Yeah, I think everything else is fine. I can show you my rejection stuff next week. Would you like me to do that? There are many other people.
No, I think if you read and Dr. Nam agrees, you can submit. I think we,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was talking about this rejection stuff I was going to show
the
you.
rejection stuff, okay.
I can show you briefly, actually. There was this
Yeah.
weird stuff with like ABO mismatch having a lower risk of rejection, and this is total. So ones leading to failure, but also ones that have recovered.
So this is this includes both failure
Yeah. And non-failure rejection.
and first time rejection.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
if
the
you
outcome,
uh-huh.
the outcome is just death or alive last encounter or retransplantation. There were very few, patients that were followed up after the retransplantation. So I just kind of cut that off as the final outcome.
So ABO mismatch. My understanding is it's really important to get ABO match. And this mismatch happened less than 1%. So I'm not sure like who they are, like in terms of like how practical it is to include them here. But they had protective effect.
Which doesn't make sense.
Right. I think the protective effect means the outcome of the graft rejection is so poor they don't have time to develop cancer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how I, interpret.
Yeah.
So I think it's so you could say ABO mismatch only happened in less than 0.6% of patient that we did not you do any we did not factor in well, yeah, because I think it's just going to look confusing. What does that really mean?
Yeah.
So I would take it out, and then maybe in the method, you could write the mismatch word less than,
Okay.
and maybe read a little bit about why would you still transplant ABO mismatch?
Oh.
Like what is the reason for that? Do you need stronger immune suppressant, or because I know liver is important, but for other organs maybe it's not important. Like I don't know, for small bowels, or well, small bowel we excluded, right?
Yeah, we did. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's no temporal relationship, or there's no temporal data. So this could be identified, as soon as the hyperacute rejection happens, and then recorded in this database, like as a reason for the hyperacute rejection. Or actually, that doesn't make sense too. They should have done the match.
I mean, they should have known. Yeah. So maybe do some more reading.
Okay.
We're new to this field. Why would you still ABO mismatch in solid organ? I mean, in hematopoietic, HLA is more important. Yeah. And then I'm tempted to take that out because of that. So such a few minor portion of that patient. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the time-dependent cog This time what I did was I did the because there was only the date values for the rejection related failure. I only did this one instead of the all inclusive rejection group. And then I excluded either the retransplantation cases or the death cases. And we still saw, these like inverse relationships between the graft rejection failure versus PTM.
So they still produce very similar head-to-head ratio.
Mhm.
So the risk of post-transplant malignancy goes down with any rejection, right?
With any failure caused by rejection, like
Yeah,
severe
failure.
enough to cause failure.
Okay, I think this is nice. We call it sensitivity analysis. So we could use this table,
Okay.
maybe as a supplemental table to show that we've done it different ways.
Mm. Yeah, do you like the idea of taking one out each time? I can't take both out because that's our outcome data.
Yeah, I like how you structured it. It's fine.
Yeah, and then everything else is kind of the similar trends. Yeah, like inverse here. I included the 15 landmark just so I can make pretty graphs, like fit them all into like a single page. But it's a lot of graphs. This is the overall OS of like rejection patients, and then rejection related failure, and then OS of PTM patients, and then the top 5 worst mortality cancers, 5 best,
Mm-hmm.
and then the landmark. So this is the rejection related failure patients, excluding retransplantation,
Mm-hmm.
and excluding death, but they all show similar patterns.
Uh-huh.
And then this is the PTM patients developing rejection over time. But all very significant except for this final graph.
So, okay, so when they develop malignancy, they're, well, let's go back to the prior graph.
This one, excluding death.
Yeah. So if you get rejection, graft failure because of rejection, but didn't die.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't die is important because you're alive, you have chance to develop cancer.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why this graph is important. And if you develop graft failure because of rejection, your risk of getting cancer is less.
Less.
Yeah, so it's clearly seen with the landmark here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next is when you develop cancer, then your risk of rejection related graft failure is
It's the opposite. So patients who develop PTM, they're tracked over time and seen whether they develop graft rejection failure.
Yeah, I think this, and with the landmark, if you so landmark meaning if you develop PTM in the, let's say the first 5 years or 6
Yeah.
The 5 years, then your chance of rejection goes down. So yeah, I think it's either way, it's beautifully shown. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. That's all I wanted to show you for today.
Yeah. So I think you're on the right track. I think you produced all the right graphs now. And I guess just needs to write up, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you submit this to a scientific meeting?
No.
No. But I'm
Well,
thinking,
the World Lung was just on the post-transplant lung cancer.
right, but this is all solid tumor, major top 5, Or was it?
Yeah, top 5.
Yeah, this is almost like a transplant meeting type of research.
I'm scared of getting like these, transplant experts as my reviewers. I'm so scared.
So
Yeah, I've
that's
learned
why
way
we,
too much about
we need to get the dream study PIs, Dr. Ramick, Tomic, yeah, Ray Tomic. He's the transplant pulmonologist, so he knows a lot. So we'll invite him and Ankit to be co-authors. So once we have the first draft, we'll invite them to review the paper.
Mhm.
But I guess the abstract's not that important, but if it, I'm sure it will, you'll submit the articles soon, but as far as the venue to present, it's not SITC because SITC is the cancer immunotherapy, and this is immunology, but not immunotherapy. Society of Cancer Immunotherapy of Cancer is SITC. Immunotherapy of cancer. No, has nothing to do with immunotherapy of cancer. So it's either AACR or ASCO, which is next year. But the AACR, what you can do is embargo. You can get the abstract a journal accepted. You can still submit to AACR. I think the deadline is like November or something. Still far away, but you can still submit an embargo. If you get the journal accepted, you can embargo and publish it on the day of AACR presentation.
So
why don't
submit
you
the
try that?
manuscript first, and then
No, you can you can send to you can submit the manuscript and say this is submitted for AACR. And if accepted, will be presented with the embargo publishing date being so and so. That's how you do it.
okay. I don't think I fully understood, but I'll ask you again later. Okay.
I think Liam understands, so yeah, work with
Okay.
Liam.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So the priority is right now, the thyroid cancer. We'll have the NanoString meeting, and then we're gonna decide on what figures and graphs to use. Add that into our thyroid cancer paper, and reformat that into JCO. So Haesung, read about, because this if this gets accepted, this would be the highest impact paper. JCO has impact factor of more than 40. And so read about the thyroid TM, translational medicine. What are the biomarkers that are discovered until now? And has there been any similar multiplex immunofluorescence study, NGS study, or this is going to be NanoString, which is the transcriptomics research that has shown any good correlation with immunotherapy. I'm not talking about the BRAF inhibitors or chemos or TKIs. We're talking about immunotherapy. There are only a few studies that's been done in this space. And the immune landscape has been described in Dr. Myung-Woo Nam's paper.
Mhm.
So keep reading so that you know what papers to cite and discuss in the discussion section.
Who's writing it up, or has it already written? I have no idea where.
No one has written anything. So I'm telling
Oh.
you to take the lead on the TM portion of the thyroid paper. So the
Okay.
thyroid paper is written up, right? But I mean the results and the paper will be written up by Dr. Liam, but the discussion part of the translational meta section should be written up by you. The results, you looked at it. I mean, you made the tables, the figures. So the result of the TM will be pretty simple. But the discussion is always what has been done prior and what are we
Right.
adding right now?
Adding.
So what have we done that no one has done? So that has to be
Yeah.
clear. But if you don't understand what others have done in the field,
Mhm.
but my understanding is no one has done anything like this before. So this is why this is such a novel study. But you should be able to say that knowing the literature and know what to cite. Yeah, so keep reading on that. So when we have the nanostring meeting with the CMAC, then we be able to finish up. And Liam, make sure all the other parts are done. So when the final piece of the TM comes, we should be able to submit to JCO. So work on reformatting it. DART trials are priority right now. The trial is officially closed and everyone's just waiting for the paper to come out. So both of you keep working on it. Again, I love your rejection and post-transplant malignancy paper, but that has no urgency. It's going to be educational for you.
Yeah.
But the urgency is really, we need to save lives by
Yeah.
publishing
I
data.
agree.
So please work on that together with Liam.
Okay.
Okay. We'll go to Uni.
So Dr. Che, sorry, before we move on, the TM portion, do you want that to be under discussion?
No, results
Like under the discussion section?
and discussion should be discussion. Both.
And then the TM would be a separate section?
Yeah, TM needs separate section. Within the
Okay, after discussion or before? Oh.
before it's part of
so
the part of the result. The TM is, I just noticed that we're close to the 11 a.m. So everyone will move to the auditorium. We're gonna listen to the lecture together in person. And we will wrap up our discussion today here. Okay, I'll talk to you guys. I know Eugene and Arnie, I will work with Jian to give you any input. Okay, or yeah.